Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where every day we explore the fascinating world of technology and how it's reshaping our lives and businesses. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today we have a very special guest. We've got Dima Kats, CEO of a company called Clear Junction, joining us today. But before we dive into our conversation with Dima, let's just talk a little about what Clear Junction is. And essentially, it was founded in 2016 by a team of experienced financial professionals. But what is it? Well, it's a global payment solutions provider, and they're revolutionizing the way cross-border payments are handled and ultimately addressing the needs of financial institutions and businesses around the world. And with their proprietary technology, they offer an end-to-end regulated payment solution, tackling high fees, slow settlement times, and many of the challenges accessing multi-country payment options. And my guest today, he's got over 15 years experience in fintech. He founded Clear Junction to address the critical gaps that he identified in the market. But I don't want to reveal too many more spoilers. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the UK, where you can learn more about Dima's backstory, the story behind Clear Junction, and their mission to be the bridge that connects the banking partners and industries, ensuring faster and safer transaction flows, and the technology behind it all. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Dima Kats. I'm the founder and the CEO of Clear Junction, which is a fintech business that I started 6 years ago. I did that after spending about 15 years in fintech in different countries. I started in Israel and I moved to the US, worked in New York, went back to Israel. And then when I was just about to start Clear Junction, I moved with my family to London because of Clear Junction.
I'd love to take you back in time for a moment there. You said 6 years ago. So if I was to take you way back, what were the initial challenges that you observed in the cross-border payment sector that motivated you to start Clear Junction? And how has technology addressed these challenges? Because I would imagine so much has changed over the last 6 years.
So I hate to break it to you, Neil, but many things, many complexities that we saw back then, they still exist. They're still around, and they're probably just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So as a person who spent most of his professional life in payments, in fintech, at some point I noticed, well, you couldn't, not notice that funnily enough, well, not funnily for the industry professionals, but funnily enough, the financial institutions and banks are one of the most severely underbanked segments in the world. So we used to think of some disadvantaged consumers or some high-risk businesses as the underbanked segments, but actually the financial institutions and regional banks are among those underbanked because they have major headache in securing banking relationships, and that's the most premises on which Clear Junction was envisioned, and that's exactly the pain in the market that we wanted to tackle back then, and we still see that this pain is still very, very significant for the market. If we read some of the recent market reviews published even by FCA here in the UK, we will see that one of the major barriers for the inclusion in this industry is the lack of services for financial institutions, lack of correspondent accounts. When two financial institutions work together, it's called a correspondent account, right? So the number of the correspondent accounts reduces, and that's the pain that has been here in this industry for many years already. And it looks like it's here to stay, which is to some extent probably good news for Clear Junction.
And just to bring to life the scale of the problem that we're talking about here for any business leaders listening, can you expand on how high FX fees and transaction costs traditionally impact businesses, especially smaller ones, and the kind of strategies that you have at Clear Junction and what you've implemented to help mitigate some of these issues too?
Yeah, so that links directly to what I explained just now. We all would like the world of financial institutions, the world of financial services, to be much more diverse. Like we would like to have as many options for us to make payments, as many banks as just possible. With that, we see that there are not that many tier one banks. There are not that many payment options available for us if we want to move money, if we want to make a payment to one of our relatives living, say, in some distant country. It doesn't really have to be in Europe. Let's say in Asia, for some of the African diaspora members, if they want to send money into Africa, they really don't have many options. When you want to buy a bottle of milk, you have plenty of different grocery stores around you. When you want to send money into even South Africa, so you have 2, 3, or 4, 5, but not more options. Okay, and that's where that's what we all would like to change. We would like to see more financial institutions providing services. We would like to see more competition on this market because that competition will drive some improvement in the services and reduction in the fees, right? So that's what we do. We contribute to further inclusion in this market. We provide services to financial institutions. We serve those small and mid-sized FIs. We serve those regional banks who would like to provide services to consumers, but can't do so because they don't have enough of the correspondent accounts in the UK or in Europe. So through providing services to these FIs, we help them. We will let them serve those consumers or those SMEs, and we let them compete over that market with large providers, and that obviously pushes down the FX costs and improves the efficiency of the services that they provide.
And of course, you've tackled the issue of lengthy settlement times, which often take 2 to 3 days, which in this fast-paced digital world feels insane. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you've managed to speed up this process? And as this is a tech podcast, some of the tech behind it that makes all this possible?
If you look at how technology in general affected our lives and the financial services in the recent times, one of the major developments that you will see is the very efficient domestic clearing systems like faster payments, right? Faster payments appeared just a few years ago, and now it's well adopted here in the UK, but it became possible only due to the technological advances in recent years. Very similar process we see in the Eurozone, where there is the SEPA, and more importantly the SEPA Instant. We see the same thing across the pond in the US. They have Fed Now, which is the clearing system that they rolled out just recently, and that lets people move money from one account in that country to another account in the bank in the same country, and that process goes it goes around the clock and takes seconds. So those are the technological developments which we see in all the developed countries in the recent years. What Clear Junction has done is facilitating payments using those clearing systems for companies that can't join those clearing systems. So an example of such companies are all those financial institutions or banks who do not reside in that geography. So for example, a bank from Eastern Europe, or a bank from Turkey, they can't join the faster payments for obvious reasons. Right. With that, for the same reasons, they can't join the clearing schemes in the Eurozone, with that, there are huge communities from these countries, from Eastern Europe and from Turkey in Europe and here in the UK. So these people, this diaspora, they want to send money home, and the easiest way for them to send money home is through the clearing schemes, which are so efficient, which is the faster payments and separations, for example. So that's what we let those financial institutions, for example, from Eastern Europe to leverage. We let them, we facilitate the payments that start or that are initiated through the local clearing schemes. We facilitate those payments when they need to go overseas. That's how we tackle this the settlement turnarounds, because again, probably one of the major advantages of the domestic clearing schemes is the efficiency and the predictability. When you send money through SWIFT, you never know how long it takes. As you said, it can take 2 days, 3 days, and more importantly, you don't know how much you're going to pay. Sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's just few pennies, sometimes £5, sometimes £20, depends on the correspondent banks on that route. So with using the domestic clearing schemes, we eliminate that lack of predictability. We know exactly how long it takes, and it usually takes seconds, and we know how much it is going to cost. Okay, is there anything else that consumers would want? No. Okay, now we do that. I mean, we didn't invent it. We do that just on the back of the technological progress that lets us all have those clearing schemes here, and the progress in our societies that led to the globalization, and which made those all those payments so much relevant for our societies.
And you highlighted so many well-known problems there, such as people working in one country and wanting to send their money back home to their family in another country. And there are so many complexities involved in accessing multi-country payment options. So anything else you can expand on how at Clear Junction you simplify this process for your clients?
Right. So as I said, we simplify use of the local clearing schemes. Now that is just one of the problems, one of the tasks that any financial institution that wants to facilitate those payments to just describe in the industry jargon, we call them the P2P payments or person-to-person payments, right? So those remittances. So if some payment institution wants to facilitate those payments or wants to provide services to some diaspora living in one country in sending money back to their families in their home country. So that institution will need to get the regulatory permissions for providing those services or a license. That institution will need to to build a network of payment service providers, basically the bank accounts to provide the services using them. And that institution will need to do all the marketing in promoting its services. So obviously we can't help them with the licensing, and we can't help them with promoting their services, but we can definitely help them with accessing the banking infrastructure in that country, which is what we do. So when different remittance companies or FIs, when they have the regulatory permissions to operate here in the UK or in Europe, we can help them with access to the banking clearing schemes. We will help basically we act as a pretty much as a correspondent account service provider for them. That eliminates the major headaches that they have in rolling out in this new geography.
And there must be so many challenges there, and dealing with the risk of appetite of banking partners is another significant challenge. So how at Clear Junction do you help navigate and manage risks effectively as well in banking partnerships?
So yeah, people who work with me here at Clear Junction, probably one of the most frequently used word here by me is the word risk. Okay, we do everything to mitigate the risk, to manage those risks, to make sure that those risks are not fatal for our business. Our own banking relationships is definitely one of the areas where we have to manage our risks very carefully. Now, again, there are no rocket science, right? So we have a long list of our banking service providers. For each of them, we understand very well their risk appetite, and trust me, they are quite different. Some of them love the remittance business. Some of them hate it. Some of them love payment traffic, say from Europe into Africa. Some of them really hate it. They would only do traffic from Europe to the United States. Some of them would love us to process with them payments that relate to the digital assets or cryptocurrencies. Some of them can't stand it. Okay, so for each of, and now we respect all those considerations. We respect all the risk appetite. We understand it. We learn it, and we make sure that we will never process payments that are outside of the risk appetite through those channels. Okay, again, there's no secret sauce. You just need to work in compliance with the risk appetite. You need to respect your partners, and that's how you make sure that you work with them for a long time.
And one of the reasons I was excited to get you back on the podcast today was talking about revolutionizing digital asset trading, because when I was doing a little research on you, Clear Junction has also introduced an innovative escrow solution to the digital asset trading business. So can you tell me a little bit more about how this works, its significance, especially in the context of crypto and fiat trading transactions? Because, again, incredibly exciting space right now.
Right. So, yeah, we are considered as one of the business that is relatively crypto friendly. I wouldn't say we're really crypto friendly. We're not crypto hostile as in quite a bit of other service providers. So we have started providing services to crypto businesses, I think some 4 years ago, for a simple reason that back then we understood that they are part of our target audience. And our target audience, just to remind, are financial institutions. Okay, so back then from learning the space, we assumed that the crypto businesses are financial institutions. Today, almost 2024, we all agree that they are financial institutions just because they need to have they are regulated by financial regulators. Okay, so that's that's the story of our involvement with the crypto businesses. Now, every now and then, there are ups and downs in this industry, and probably one of the most significant downs was about a year ago when FTX exploded. And on the back of that event, we were thinking of what we could do to eliminate that lack of trust, because basically what happened there at FTX, there were some people who lost their money because their money sat with FTX, and FTX went bankrupt. So all these people they didn't want to store their money with FTX. They wanted to trade with FTX. Now using FTX. Now while you trade, some of your liquidity stays with the exchange, and since that exchange can go bust, so there is a risk for business. I mean, now there is nothing new in that risk. That risk exists everywhere. It's a traditional risk. When you buy something, you take a risk. When you move money to your counterparty, there is a risk that you're not going to receive back what you expected to whatever you're buying. When you buy a flat, right? So you make a payment to the seller, and you expect to get back the registration that the flat is in your name now, right? So it's a very traditional problem. It's called the delivery versus payment, right? So how do we manage that in crypto? When in crypto all the transactions are final, so you move money somewhere, you can't get it back. You can't, and in many cases you even you can't prove that the recipient is someone or the person or the party to whom you made a transfer you can't prove that that party owns that wallet. So how do we tackle that? So we introduced the escrow service, where when the two parties agree on some deal, one party needs to pay fiat, another party needs to pay crypto. So we, if both parties have an account, a fiat account with Clear Junction, one party makes this fiat transfer using the escrow service, and we hold that money, we hold that fiat transfer up until the moment when we see that the crypto assets have been delivered to the wallet of the buyer. So when a buyer initiates the fiat transfer to the seller, the buyer also specifies what blockchain wallet needs to be credited in crypto and within what period of time. And if within that period of time we see that the crypto assets have been delivered to that blockchain wallet, we would completely fiat transfer and would deliver the funds to the seller. If not, if the transaction expires, so we send money back, send fiat back to the seller. So basically, we with all the other risks that are abundant in the crypto trading, we managed to eliminate the risk of what's so-called the counterparty risk, the risk that you agree on the deal, you send the money, but you never receive the underlying asset back to you. Okay. What I like about this is that we have done it in this exactly the same manner as these type of processes are built in the standard traditional non-crypto world. Again, take this example of the real estate, right? There are quite a bit of real estate deals that are conducted using escrow service. Okay, so we just expanded the whole concept of escrow into the crypto world.
And another thing that really stands out for me about what you're doing here is you've achieved remarkable growth without any external investment. So I'm curious, on behalf of other business leaders listening, what are the key strategies and decisions that allowed you at Clear Junction to scale so effectively while also maintaining financial independence? It's huge kudos to you for achieving this.
Yeah, thanks for the compliments. Again, it seems like I'm using the same word. Again, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
What we've done, there was a very clear vision in the very beginning, and we stick to that vision from day one. We decided that we wanted to provide services to financial institutions. That's what we envisioned in the beginning. That's what we were doing during the first years of Clear Junction, and that is what we're going to stick going forward. So we don't serve consumers, we don't serve corporates, we don't serve governments. We only serve financial institutions, different remittance companies, banks, payment service providers, money service businesses, whatever you call them. Different countries they're called differently, but they are regulated financial institutions, or institutions regulated by the financial regulators. So that's the vision. We never changed it. So that's number one. I think we stick to the vision. Number one. Number two, we never compromised on the regulatory compliance. Okay, and I know it's always tempting, and there are many businesses who take their chances. So here there is a very, very clear understanding that what we do is risky, and we can't take risks that we can't manage. Okay, so we would only take those risks that we have the ability to measure, and we invest quite a bit into building and improving those risk management capabilities. We have the methodology, we have the technology, we have the knowledge, we have the intuition, and with all that, we manage our risks. But we never, from the very beginning of this business, we never made any compromises in the regulatory compliance. And I think the third thing is, I think it's just the operational efficiency. We basically we watched very carefully our cash flow, and we tried to avoid. We had no choice. We had to avoid making mistakes. I mean, it's sounds easy. It wasn't easy. I wish there were some mistakes we didn't make, but we just try to think twice before we spend money, and that I think led to this operational efficiency and let us survive.
I was also reading your revenue forecast is expected to increase significantly in the next 3 years. So as we look into 2024 and beyond, is there anything else you can share around Clear Junction's future plans for expansion and indeed development in your services and geographic reach too?
Look, not much will change here.
Yeah.
So no major news. We will provide the same services. We will only provide services to financial institutions. Nothing changes. We're not going to expand that. Okay. We will want to expand in different directions, and we see two directions where we can expand. Number one is expanding our services besides just the payments. So we will add some other services, which we usually call the treasury services, like some FX conversion, some complex FX. We will offer some new services similar to what we just discussed, the escrow, right? It's not a traditional payment service. It's some extension of that. It's some treasury product. And we will add more products of this nature that are not directly linked to payments. That's number one. And number two, we will want to expand geographically. So today we're very comfortable in the UK with our services in the UK, in Europe, Eurozone, in North America. We will add more coverage, some additional geographies. But other than that, we will just do the same. We like what we're doing, and there is plenty of room for more business to do here. There are so many financial institutions that need our service. And we will just want to do whatever we can with the proper risk management in mind. Okay, I think that's the only thing that sort of restricts us in our growth is our own risk appetite. Okay, but we will never compromise on that.
I think that's a beautiful moment to end on, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your story and everything that you've achieved. But before I let you go, I'm going to see if there's something we can do for you here, because some of the biggest names in business, VC funding and tech have either been guests or listened to this podcast. So if I was to ask you, is there a person out there you'd love to have a private breakfast or lunch with? Who would that be and why? Because he or she might just be listening to this and, hey, let's see if we can manifest something here together.
Yeah. I will actually be very grateful if you can arrange a meeting for me with Jeff Bezos.
Shoot for the moon, man. Yeah, let's go for it.
I'm sure he's listening to us right now. Hey, Jeff. would love to meet him. I think he's a great combination of a visionary. He had this vision in mind, which is very ambitious, very revolutionary, and still achievable, right? And also he managed to deliver on that. So that's huge. I have lots of respect for that person. We met once. I remember that, he doesn't. Some 20 years ago, I worked for some fintech company, and we had a meeting with Amazon in Seattle. Well, Jeff wasn't invited to that meeting, unfortunately, but I did hear him laughing across the corridor, and he has that he's famous for his laughter. So I heard him. I don't think he remembers that, but if you can help me, Neil, to have breakfast with him, that will be just great.
Awesome. What a great story. Well, let's throw that out into the ether, into the universe, and see what we can manifest together here. And finally, for anyone listening who wants to find out more information about you, anything we discussed about Clear Junction, where would you like to point everyone listening to that?
I think there are two places. Number one is our website, www.clearjunction.com. And our LinkedIn pages. We're not a retail company, and we don't work with SMEs directly. So there is you can't find our ads, in on the street or on the bus stops or in the tube, professionals will definitely find us on all the industry conferences or LinkedIn. That's the best place to find us. If you have any questions or if you just want to say hi and to share your perspective on the industry with us.
Well, I'll get links added there so people can find you nicely, easily. And I love the journey you've been on and how it started with that vision and how you saw that many licensed financial institutions and businesses were being locked out of accessing the payment services they needed to grow, and ended up facing challenges from high FX fees, transaction costs, 2 or 3 days average settlement times, risk appetite from banking partners. And I loved how you set out to solve these problems. And through proprietary technology, you've created a way to clear payments and the junction between banking partners and industries to ultimately speed up safe transaction flows. I always say technology works best when it brings people together, and I love what you've done here with technology. So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
I couldn't summarize it better, Neil. Thank you very, very much.
And that wraps up another episode of Tech Talks Daily. A huge thank you to my guest, Dima Kats, for joining me on the podcast today, sharing the incredible journey and vision of Clear Junction. I think it's inspiring to see how technology and innovation are continuously shaping the financial landscape, making it more accessible and efficient. So I hope today's conversation not only enlightened you about the advancements in global payment solutions, but also sparked a few ideas on how technology can be leveraged to overcome business challenges. But that's it for today. So please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram @NeilCHughes if you want to send me a DM there. Other than that, I'll be back bright and early tomorrow with another guest and another story to share. So thank you for listening today, and until next time, don't be a stranger.